Thank you so much for being here today. Would you please introduce yourself to our group, Destiny?
Well, hello guys. My name is Destiny Islas. I am currently attending Cal State Long Beach and I'm pursuing my education becoming a special education teacher.
Excellent. And would you mind telling us, Destiny, what is like your pathway of how you got to where you are right now?
So first I started off at a community college. I didn't do the traditional 2 years at a community college. I actually stayed for 4 years, but I ended up getting two certificates and two AA degrees and one AAT degree. So I had a really good amount of experience at the community college before even entering Cal State Long Beach.
Excellent, excellent. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Now let's go ahead and get into our interview questions. Destiny, could you tell us a little bit about what does authentic learning look like to you? Like, and would you also reflect on authentic learning in general, but also authentic learning in the virtual environment?
Uh-huh. So a lot of people kind of tend to think that authentic learning is in-person learning. I could see some truth in that because you could learn a lot more with having those interactions with the teachers and the students and your peers. But to me, since I'm kind of in the field of educational technology as well, so I also believe integrating technology and just techie skills that you could learn on computers as well as building it onto the authentic learning you get inside the classroom. So I kind of have experience already with this online classroom switch that we had to do this year. So I enjoy the authentic learning that I've gotten this year. It's like a blend of the of two, of having the connection still, but still getting them online.
Interesting. So for you, the experience has been, it's kind of cool that you had some experience with it prior, before the pandemic. How do you think that impacted you?
It really gave me a heads up. I kind of already knew some skills prior to getting in the classroom, and I was able to help some teachers as well, like with some of the technology stuff and some of the Microsoft stuff, the software and Zoom and Canvas, and I would give critiques and advice for the teachers. So it's kind of cool to like be that extra help that they needed when they needed it most, because some teachers weren't prepared for this, and they expected us to be in the classroom when things changed so rapidly this year.
I appreciate you saying that, Destiny, because I actually, I'm not crazy techie, and I've got two 14-year-olds in my house, and I'm so grateful for my son because with the transition over, I've had to rely on him for tech support in a way that I used to, like on my campus. And so I think it's really cool that you're sharing that this is an opportunity where you're kind of like mentoring and helping in a capacity you weren't expecting, right? Very
Mhm.
cool. Let's go ahead now and talk for a little bit about any ideas you have for strategies for like teachers, faculty, any staff, how to connect in the virtual learning environment and how to connect with students in that virtual space.
Mhm. So I learned from one of my art teachers in Cal State Long Beach where instead of having the two classes mandatory each week, he actually had one class mandatory on Mondays, and on Wednesdays he would have office hours addition to his other office hours. So it was like an interactive. He got to talk to the students. If they had questions, they would ask him, and he would just do the homework that we were supposed to do, and he would help us along the way. So just like putting more time aside instead of just teaching all the time, he was able to make that connection at the same time of teaching us. And he wasn't that techie either, but he was able to bring that experience, and I will never forget that this semester. It really helped a lot. Uh-huh.
I love it. What other ways have you felt like faculty have connected with you during the pandemic? And I shouldn't just say faculty, but anybody that's of importance. How did you connect during this time? And just any other ideas on like, things that we could do to make it better for our students or for the people we're engaging with in the world right now?
I think a lot of the good things that teachers could do right now, and the important people that we like to talk to during this time that we're at home in quarantine, is kind of making like classroom discussions, putting the time aside to make Zoom conferences, putting the time to make more group projects, even though they're a little bit more complicated at this moment. Having the group projects kind of made the students come together more better than actually in person. So like some of the group projects I had this year, they're way different than what I would have expected for in-person classes. We're able to communicate way more. We ended up problem solving way more than we would have done in person, and we ended up using so much technology. And some of us ended up learning a lot of new people skills and technology skills. So it's just with stuff like this, it helps us adapt to change, and we figure out more ways than what we would have learned in a classroom because we're so used to the classroom and like how things are kind of a little more easier.
Mhm.
when things challenge us, it just helps us create more ideas together. And we incorporate that with the teachers, and teachers incorporate with the students, and we all just pitch in new ideas.
I that could literally be like a quote right there, like, "When things get challenging, we all are working together." I mean, I love that, and the fact that you talked about the element of time, because I think right now we have this misperception that since we're at our stay-at-home orders, that there's, like, so much time, and what
Yeah.
we're finding is that the time that students used to devote to the classroom inside your home space, you now may have to be dealing with your little brother or sister on Zoom, or if you're a parent yourself on Zoom and helping other people in the house log in. And so the gift of time is an important gift right now. And I love that you reflected on how during this process, when you're in the classroom, you kind of assume collaboration and communication's happening. But for you, it sounds like outside of the physical classroom and in the virtual space, you've seen kind of an uptick
Yeah.
of that. Or like, I don't know, it feels like your energy when you talked about it. Would you tell me a little bit more about that? I'd love to hear a little more.
I think since it was more challenging, some of us had to really step out of our comfort zones, especially there's some, young people that still don't even really know a lot about technology. So they ended up saying, oh, like, how could we build this better? Or how could we reach out to our partners more? How could we tackle this problem? Because I know one time we had a problem where our one of our group members was not responding for months, and we had to, contact them and tell them, hey, you need to help us out. And we had to figure out a way how to get to them. And we were able to do so with our professor. And the professor kind of realized, oh, okay, maybe next time when I do a group presentation, maybe we go about it a different way and make sure that they all have like the communication before they keep starting. So it kind of helps like the teachers and the students, like for next time, for the next semester, for the next couple students, what to do and what not to do. So I'm excited for that because I know as a future teacher, what if this happens again? Or what if we have to do more blended learning when I do become a teacher? Because I know technology is so popular and it's going to continue to get popular. So I think it's always important for everyone, the teachers, the students, to get like some kind of technology experience or like EDT experience. I recommend that greatly for people that want to be teachers or even professors, teachers in general, because it really helps a lot. It helped me a lot this semester. So
Outstanding. It's interesting too, because I think we assume right now that people have constant connectivity and communication ability
mhm,
during the pandemic, but what we're finding is that there's a lot of, Wi-Fi issue. There's challenges we're not expecting, and so knowing if somebody's better to be, texting versus emailing versus like just knowing their technology access, I think is an important thing. I think in my house, and like there's certain places where if I try and send a text, I need to walk to a different place in order to be able to communicate because the signals are low and whatnot. So I love that you brought that up. It's such an important piece. We can't make an assumption that everyone has that access. So, how wonderful for a faculty member to step back and say, what access do you have? And then how do we move forward communicating with you collaboratively? It's great. How is your experience I mean, you're in an interesting spot because you've been a student, but you're also a teacher and you've been in a teacher and a mentor role repeatedly. You know what I mean? In your career already. And so, how has your education experience as in any of those roles changed within the virtual learning space? And I'd also like you to reflect on any challenges you've had to overcome and what are the things that you're working on right now?
So it was kind of hard to find more teaching internships and experiences because of COVID and how classrooms are still not in session right now. So I tried looking for volunteering on virtually. So I was able to tutor I think a third grader math skills during this pandemic. So I was able to see how to use Zoom. I was able to see when's the time appropriate for them to have a during Zoom and how could I have him interact with me when he doesn't have his mic on or he chooses not to have the mic on. And it kind of helped me adapt as a teacher to do that. And some of the challenges I see that there's a lot of barriers, like you had mentioned earlier, with online teaching and online learning as well, because the internet connections, the time frames, the work schedules, the home life, and things just happen really suddenly. So those are really big challenges I see with other people. And a challenge I would say is not too big was getting into the credential program because it's all virtual now. Instead of having the interview in person, I was able to do it online. It was even more scary because I was scared that my Wi-Fi was going to cut off, or I look kind of weird through the webcam, or I was just not prepared. I didn't get that experience, and I kind of felt a little bit scared, but I got through it. And now I get to say I did an online virtual teaching credential interview. So it's pretty cool. And I'm still kind of learning how to get into the credential program. So I've just been going to Zoom conferences and asking questions. So I'm overcoming all the obstacles so far.
I love that you're sharing things that we wouldn't even thought about, honestly, because I'm like thinking, oh my gosh, well, why don't we do some sort of, like workshop on interviewing virtually? And what, if the students need that, that's something that our colleges and our even our K-12s, like we can provide that. And so I love that you said that because that's a tangible item that somebody could replicate if they find it to be useful. So that's fantastic. Now, what about you? What's your future hold for you? What are your plans this semester? I mean, I guess you're wrapping up right now, right?
I'm trying to wrap up by hopefully next fall, but if I could go sooner and graduate hopefully by summer, I would definitely be happy with that because I'm very close to getting the bachelor's. It's just the credential I have to worry about and the teaching and the other hours I have to put in, but I'll get there.
You absolutely will get there. Now, this is a video that's going to be shown to educational leaders who are equity minded and they're really looking out for all the different populations that we serve as educators, especially our special populations, which include a large different group of people, and many that but our foster care kids, our homeless kids, our LGBT, and I always say kids, even though I know many are adults. I think that's just because I was a teacher for so long. But what do you see as any sort of message you might want to send to them, or just, as a student voice and as a future teacher and a current teacher, what do you want to say to education leaders in the state? Just things to kind of keep in their mind as we're making it through this pandemic.
I would say to those that are either, doubting themselves or just overall having a troublesome time right now is to really think of the true reason why you chose to be where you're at right now. Think of the reason that you're here to make an impact and to also change the world and just become a whole better person for yourself. Think that all these challenges, all the obstacles, all the pain that you possibly have went through these past couple of years and even through this pandemic, it's going to make you a much stronger and more better, amazing teacher and even a leader in our community. So always know you're capable and you're worth so much, and you're going to complete everything you want to succeed in. And with that mindset and positivity, you're going to change the world because you're going to inspire other people as well. And I think once you inspire more people, you're already creating such a beautiful place in the world. I think that's what the world needs. I know that life is never going to be perfect. That's something that I think that's what makes us struggle a lot, makes us very hard on ourselves. Because even the teaching field, it's very difficult.
Mhm.
It's a passionate but very difficult job. But if we work together and we understand each other, we will go so far together, not leave anyone behind. Stand together, stand strong, and this world will be a better place if you be positive and help each other.
Destiny, I've got to be honest. I love that you took that approach on that question because a lot of times people will say, well, here's the list of things we need. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And instead, you're really being reflective and saying this is about self-care and all of us working together to improve ourselves and improve our society. I mean, it's a much bigger kind of big charge, right?
I think it's so important. Like I really get inspired by Mr. Rogers because he didn't do, he wasn't so focused on the aspect of education, get straight A's, get a high GPA. It was more of the human connection that we create is much stronger and more impactful for the many generations to come. And I encourage that with every single person because everyone's, they're capable of anything they want to do in this life. And once everyone believes that, imagine how far this world would go and how much, not perfect, it'll never be perfect, but it will be much better than it was the years before. And that's all we could do.
I love that you just brought it back to humanity because that is what the core of this 3-day series is about. How do we make education more human? And how do we, in this virtual space, how do we really try to make it the best experience ever for our students? So, Destiny, thank you so much for being here today and sharing with us your reflections and just your thoughts. And I'm excited to see where you go in this field. And hopefully next time maybe we can be all presenting together with JSPAC. That would be awesome, and with other groups. And so thank you so much for your time today, Destiny, and for your voice. And you are appreciated. Please know that.
Thank you. Thank you.